my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and mobile app developers. So over the last year or so, and probably continue for the next couple of years, operating system makers like Apple and Google are making lots of changes around how their people who put apps on their app stores develop tools or develop applications, and how they describe what they're doing around privacy. So there's a lot of headwinds in the world, around the world, as it relates to regulation and also kind of third-party data transfer. So these big companies that are OS makers, they're sort of pushing down some of what they consider their requirements for apps and app makers to make their applications more in line with privacy. Another thing that both Google and Apple are doing is trying to create more transparency so that when people go in to look at apps, whether it's for them or other people or maybe even children, they want to make sure that it's very clear, that the app developer explains very clearly what the app is doing, what the different technology is doing, the age appropriateness of different activities and things like that. So in July of 2020, both Apple and Google are making some changes to their app store. So if you have an app, a mobile app, you're a developer, let's say you're trying to get an app into the app store, or you already have one in the app store, there are requirements for you to go in, fill out more information around your app, how things are handled, and they have certain categories that you have to sort of look at. So all around, what your app is doing, what data is being collected, what data is being pulled from those apps, all those things need to be put in, or your app will get tossed out of the App Store. So we saw, as a result of Apple's app transparency, a lot of apps got tossed out of the App Store, and the makers, if they wanted their app back into the App Store, they need to comply with these new requirements. So this is basically the same thing that's happening now with Google. So Google isn't as harsh as Apple has been, but still they're asking for quite a bit of information that maybe app makers had not previously thought about. Some of the blind spots that companies have when they're developing apps is around API access of data types. So if you have APIs that you're using in the application, you may have to explain, what is this API doing? Is what the information is being pushed or pulled, is it appropriate for the use of that particular application? And also, can you really explain it? So, we're seeing apps getting taken out of app stores, or getting notices from these OS makers saying, hey, you need to change X, Y, and Z before you resubmit your app to the App Store. Also, a lot of jurisdictions are pushing down really hard on organizations around age appropriateness. So being able to explain, for example, is your app a social app, or is it an app with social features, especially around children, especially under the age, I would say, of 16. So 16 and under, if your app sort of caters to children, you want to make sure that you make it very clear what exactly it's doing. One blind spot there is kind of like social features, whether that be chat or different things. Those things may not be allowed depending on how your app is categorized. So I highly recommend that companies who have apps, they look very closely at that. And then also be able to find tools. There are tools and resources out there for app makers to help them scan their app so that they can see what their blind spots are, so that they can either not get tossed out of the App Store, or to make sure that their app can be submitted to particular app stores. So I think companies or people who make apps need to get comfortable with the fact that these OS makers have a lot of power, and they're forcing a lot of these changes down on app makers. So app makers that can think ahead and think about kind of the privacy implications of the things that they're doing, they'll have a better time or a better shot of being able to be in front of audiences when they're in either a Google or Apple app store. That's it. Thank you.